is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is Saturday night, and that brings us to the Saturday edition of the Paranormal Portal. How you guys doing out there? Thanks for being here. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and things are looking good. Everything's working, and I'm jinxing it right off the bat here, aren't I? So, hope you guys have had a great Saturday. It's been a really cloudy day here, but I wish it was clouds, but it's been hazy. It's been really, really hazy, and that's due to all the forest fires going around, and it's just I really don't like this dry, hot stuff. I don't mind heat. I love heat because I hate snow, and I'd take heat any day over snow, but I don't like it when it's so dry and it feels like a pile of tinder just waiting for the spark. And, it just breaks my heart to see all those forests going up in flames, and it's just such widespread damage and it's of such beautiful, pristine forest lands. So my heart just aches for it. But not only that, it just sucks to breathe in this smoky stuff. I don't know. It's tough on my lungs, I know. So anyway, enough of me whining. Hope you guys are doing good. And we are off and running tonight, as usual, on Saturday nights and Friday, of course, as well. But the phone lines are always open here on the portal. If you have something of an experience of your own or a thought about what we're discussing on the show, please feel free to call in. The phone number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. Or you can call 833-TFR-LIVE, and that'll get you here as well. If you're calling from across the pond over in the UK, then your phone number is 44203-393-2871. Again, 44203-393-2871. So there are options in order to get in touch with us. But if you don't feel like calling, but you want to take part in the show and be a part of the community that is the Paranormal Portal family, then please go to tfrlive.com/chat, where you'll meet a bunch of great people in there, or head over to YouTube and watch the live stream, which is happening right now. And that is youtube.com/paranormalportal. And we are live simulcasting this on YouTube, as well as TFR Live, iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream Live, etc., etc. So we're out there. But before I go any further, let me welcome my good friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard. Are you talking?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, boy. What do we got? Oh, there we go. Well,
so
crackle.
I'm trying Don on a new mixer channel tonight, and
jeez, okay,
that's not
wow.
helping.
Well, that's better right there.
Yeah. Well, we could do that before as well. So we could do that on the other channel. It'd be like fuzzy and then better.
Well, that's true.
But I don't know what happens over there. But it's clearly on your end, but it's the mic or the connection. But this is a different cord. It's a different mixer channel. It's a different mic. So I don't know.
I don't know what it is about me that your board, your mic, I don't know.
I don't know either, brother. But you have definitely some kind of problems with electrical items. There's no question.
Weren't we talking about that last night?
Your TV's not as paranormal anymore.
It's not as much of a mystery now?
No, I think I've got it kind of dialed in what's going on with that as well. Let me get you on screen here.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm not showing you, but there you are. Don is here with me here in the Paranormal Portal Studios, and we are bringing the show to you live, ladies and gentlemen.
Notice the planchette. It's back up.
The planchette is back up, and thank you, MCAT. He was right on the ball. MCAT, who is one of our YouTube chatters, he went back and watched the footage, and before I had a chance to even look at it, he's like, nope, it was down before the show. So
dang it.
And so it didn't happen during the show that the planchette fell down.
Makes me feel better.
Oh, well, yeah, because that would have been like double creepy. But no, it was down the whole night. I'm not sure when it fell down. I'm not sure how it fell down, because it's just this light little plastic wafy thing.
Yeah,
there's no nothing to it. There's no weight to it at all. But it did come down. However, is that paranormal? No, probably not. It's just, sticky things decide to have a lifespan to them, and they fall. But it was just weird timing with everything else that was going on. So what can you do? You got to look at all the causations and possibilities. But thanks, MCAT, for getting that information so quickly. It's awesome to know you guys are on the ball so much out there. But yeah, here we are. And how's your day, Don?
It's been good. Unfortunately, I didn't get my nap, but got an awesome dinner in me tonight, so that's cool.
Well, that's excellent. Yeah. And
nice piece of prime rib, medium rare.
That's the only way to eat it. The only way you can kill that is if you put horseradish on it. I don't like horseradish.
Oh God, I love horseradish.
Yeah, everybody else I talk to loves horseradish, but I'm serious. It's just I won't touch food if it has horseradish on it. I mean, there's some things that can be mixed with. As long as it's not like the primary flavor, I'm okay. But as soon as I taste that stuff, it's just like... Okay, so did I ever tell you the story about Arby's?
No.
Okay, so this is not paranormal related at all, ladies and gentlemen, but here's the situation I went through. And it was my introduction to horseradish. And I was dating this girl ages ago, and when I was 18. And I was pretty broke at that time, but I had saved up enough money to go have dinner with her at Arby's, which was when you're 18, that's pretty cool. So I'm whining and dining. No, I'm not. I'm just
he's fast food and hoping.
Yeah, exactly. So I took her to Arby's, and I was all excited because I hadn't had Arby's in forever, and I absolutely love beef and cheddars. Those are they are tongue crack. They are just amazing. And I was all pumped up. I was like, yes, gonna get Arby's. This is great. And my girlfriend at the time says, hey, have you ever tried the horsey sauce?
Oh God.
And I'm like, no. And she goes, oh my God, it's so amazing. And I was like, oh, cool, because I'm already excited to have beef and cheddars, and it could be even better. Forget about it. I'm getting some horsey sauce. So I splatter that crap all over both of my beef and cheddars, and I took a bite, and I just sat there going, oh, no. I mean, just tears and anguish rolled down my face looking at this pile of roast beef and cheddar that I now could no longer eat.
God love you.
Ah, it was horrid. It was just horrid. And ever since then, I've had a lifelong campaign against horseradish. So.
The I'm sorry, that's not even horseradish.
Well, I don't know, but I have tasted horseradish, better made stuff, and it's still, I just don't, I don't do it. I can't do it.
Fresh grated today.
Okay, well.
Oh my goodness.
I'm glad it's digesting in your pit and not in mine.
Yeah.
So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Paranormal Portal, not Food Network. So, we're going to roll into the paranormal that helps to give us our name. And tonight, what we're going to be talking about is spirit warnings and communications. And this is it's a pretty broad subject because, I guess most, like 90%, 99% of paranormal stuff going on is generally just somebody trying to say, hey, I'm here, which is communication. They just want acknowledgement. They just want to be recognized. Maybe 99 is a high percentage, but you know what I'm saying. It's like most of it is just benign, like, hey, you better recognize because I'm here and you got to deal with it. And it's pretty benign. But what I'm talking about in terms of spirit warnings is when people get warned about events. And there's a few of them we're going to go over tonight, and I think they're incredibly profound. I think more people get these warnings than most of us understand, but most of us are waiting for these really profound, amazing events. And one of the ways spirits can communicate with us depends on us. It depends on our ability to receive this communication. And so not everybody can see spirits. I mean, maybe it's possible that a spirit can punch through all of our filters and make themselves known, but I think it probably takes an extraordinary amount of energy, and they're not going to expend that or be able to expend that in a lot of cases. But I think they communicate much more subtly, and we'll get into that as well. And people are probably receiving warnings and in the form of maybe premonitions, in the form of dreams, in the form of feelings, etc., etc. It doesn't always have to be my, deceased great-grandmother appeared and warned me not to go to the park because it was going to be a terrible accident. Now, those things allegedly happen, and people have had very profound experiences, but we'll talk about the many ways that spirits can communicate and try to communicate with us, and get into that. And then we'll also just talk about spirit communications as well. There's so many different modalities of spirit communication, and all of them are not Ouija board and seance and mediums. A lot of them are taking place in many other ways. And so that's what we're going to be getting into tonight here on the portal. And again, if you have an experience or something to add to this discussion on the journey, so please call in. Or in the chat room, Don will be watching the messages, and let us know what you're thinking in there, and we'll certainly read those on the air as we see them. And it's just really cool. But the TFR chat room is just hopping tonight. That's cool. Did you see that, Don?
No, huh?
Look at that.
Let me get over there.
There's a lot of people over there. I'm there. You're there. Doc Kayak is there. Lichty Lass is there. She's all the way from Scotland. Luma Kennedy is there. He's from Australia. Comet Man Lewis is in there, and he's in California. I don't know where Magic Mika is, or Ra Castaldo's in there. He's of course, a fellow TFR host, the host of The Eye of Ra, and a phenomenal show as well.
Nice.
And he often deals with a lot of paranormal things and esoteric things. A great source of amazing information. Then Rockin' Rio is in there. And Rio's been a long time TFR supporter and friend, and he's also co-host on Into the Microcosm, which comes up following us. And then Shane Virtue.
Hey, Shane.
We got Margot in there.
Hi, Margot.
I talked to Margot just briefly as I was prepping, but I just wasn't able to actually have a conversation. So I'm sorry, Margot. I didn't ever mean to ignore you.
But this is a live show.
It is a live show. You're listening to us live here.
And you'll hear all the hijinks as we go along.
yeah, it's completely live, and we just kind of wing it. So we're winging it. Who's in the chat room on YouTube?
Well, Relished Razor just popped in. How are you doing, Razor? Ain't seen you in a while.
Good.
Let's see here. We got. Well, I'm gonna start with the one that was missing last night, Miss Pixie. We got Doc in here too. We got Renee, of course. We got Half Q, Mac and Stood, Julia. Gosh, it's rocking in here too.
Excellent.
MCAT, Lord Vader. Gosh, Jesus.
Lord Vader.
Everybody's in here tonight.
Vader, I presume.
It's just rocking.
Yeah, and thank you guys.
Oh,
for
and Lady
being
D. Don't forget Lady Death.
Lady Death. All right.
Lady Death.
All right. So
gotta throw that love out there.
It's a lot of love going on everywhere here on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. So
love fest in the portal.
Well, we will heal the world with every hug.
That's all right. Oh, is that Uriah I see?
Oh, is Uriah in there?
I think so.
Excellent. Good to see him. It's been a while. He kind of pops up here and there.
Yeah.
He's been a great friend and has submitted some great stories for the show as well. So, and ladies and gentlemen, if you have a story of your own that you'd like to submit to be read on the portal, please feel free. Email paranormalportalradio@gmail.com and let me know whether or not you want to be anonymous or be named or how to name you. That's absolutely fantastic. But last night we read a few of those stories as well. Phenomenal stories. And thank you guys for your contributions. That to me is just the icing on the cake.
Yes.
It is. So yeah, we're cooking.
Yeah, I had some really great stories last night. We had a couple.
It's just really cool. So anyway, let's get into this. So Don, what do you think about spirits communicating?
Having never had one, I do love hearing. Or
have you?
Well, none that I've ever, quantified, unsuccessfully quantified, at least to myself. However, as I've moved along this journey with you, I've come to the realization, I give everybody their props. You can believe whatever you want. But you know what? It's nice to hear that there's a lot of great stories out there. There's a lot of great NDE stories. There's a lot of great, grandma showed up, at night and kissed me goodnight or whatever. Those are great. There's some great scary ones. I love EVPs, and we've got friends that do spirit boxes and things like that. So, I've met a lot of great people and they've told a lot of great stories. And, I can certainly appreciate where they're coming from. I can certainly appreciate, their aspects and what they add to the energy of the community. And so I give everybody their due credits. I mean, but having never really consciously had something happen, I'm still waiting, I guess. I'm a man on a journey, I guess.
Well, there you go, and it's a hell of a journey, that's for sure. And the one thing about the paranormal is you just don't know when it's going to happen, and that's a discussion that MCAT and I had in regards to the planchette just briefly on our YouTube comments, and he's like, yeah, unfortunately things don't happen on cue. And I was thinking, yeah, but wouldn't it be awesome?
It would be nice, yeah.
And action, and so then things move and you get spirit voices and all that stuff. That'd be really cool. But it's actually more akin to like trying to capture lightning in a bottle. It's just when it happens, where it happens, why it happens, how it happens. There's just no scripting it. It's just when it occurs. So the thing is that I really believe, and I've said this many times on the show, we are swimming in a world of spirits as well as our own physical world. We are surrounded by things that may make their presence known or may never make their presence known.
Right.
And we are not aware of them. And perhaps they're also not aware of us. And we get back to that discussion about the full spectrum of light versus what we can see, the full spectrum of audio versus what we can hear. So things that we can see and hear and touch, we consider real because we have sensory proof of it. But it's the researchers now who are going out and figuring out ways that we can have those kind of proofs as well. I wonder if that was Did you hear that?
Well, I bumped my mic stand and then it started, but
wow.
I don't think it was me.
Huh. Okay.
It wasn't me.
Very weird. Okay. Bump it again. Yeah, that didn't do it.
No, that's not it.
Okay, I'm gonna mute
All
you. No, it's actually on the whole board. I muted your channel, and it's
Yep.
not just you, but it was
not
just
me.
serendipitous. We did lose the phones. See?
Again? Okay.
Yeah, they just kicked us off.
Wow. Okay. So that's what the noise is.
That's why we get this waterfall noise. I don't know what the hell's going on with that, but it happened last night as well. Let me try to reconnect these. But I think these things communicate in many ways, and because we only seem to trust what we can see, feel, touch, hear, then they find other methods in order to communicate, and are probably doing it all the time. And a lot of us chalk those up as, geez, I had a bad feeling. I just didn't feel right about that situation, so I left. So we mark it as an intuitive thing, like we
Right.
just felt an energy. But is it possible that in many of those cases, that energy is because of a spirit saying, no, get the hell out. This is not a good place. Get out, get out. And so they impress those emotional energies on us so we get those vibes. And I think that's as valid as well
Right.
as, any seeing or hearing with our own ears. So let me see what I can do about getting us reconnected, because I love me some Skype issues.
LJD says they've only heard this on the weekend shows.
What, this sound?
Yeah, this particular sound. Well, that's just, it's just one person who's mentioned it.
Right.
Ghost microphone? Yes, Renee. Always. They want to take over.
Who does?
They want to talk. They want to say something.
Oh, yeah, them. Yeah,
Them.
The thems.
They.
All right, let's
The
try to get this
others.
reconnected and see if that helps. I'm not sure what's going on. It just definitely bumped us off the phones. I'm trying to reconnect them, and I don't know. If it doesn't, then I'll reconnect them at break, but unfortunately we're stuck with that nasty hiss until that time. Gotta love you some Skype, I don't know.
Cassette tape hiss mode. Yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah, it really is.
It's always that ninth track.
Amen to that. But yeah, we'll look into this over break and get this reconnected. So in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen,
Uriah said Raw was having issues too. So
that's right. I did see that in the Skype chat, as Lucky was talking to him about things going on. Yeah, very strange. Very strange. But we'll get that reconnected on break. I'll disconnect and reconnect everything on the break. And that's what we did last night, and we got everything back in order. So we are cruising away, but that's what we're going to be talking about is what are the other ways that spirits may communicate with us that might bring us to an understanding. Now, where this comes from for me was I was actually watching the Dead Files, and I love the Dead Files. I think Amy Ellen is an incredibly talented psychic. I think that she does a phenomenal job. Again, it's what she claims to see and hear sometimes is absolutely terrifying. I'm really glad I can't see and hear those things. But I'm tongue in cheek, of course. I'd love to be able to know exactly what's going on, but there's some horrible things out there. But what she was talking about was this certain episode that I was watching. There was a lady and her family were being absolutely tormented by a few different spirits, but there was one guy that lived with them for a number of years and suddenly passed away, and I think in the early 90s. He died of a heart attack in the house, but he was lingering. And one of the things the people were complaining is that they had these really terrible feelings. They just didn't feel good. They felt like something was absolutely wrong, on top of being physically nauseous and having splitting headaches and such. But what Amy said on the show, and I thought it was really cool, is that that's your deceased friend trying to tell you to leave this place. He wants you to leave. So this person had passed away, but decided to linger to try to protect the family. And one of the ways he was doing that was trying to encourage them on an emotional level to get out. And so I thought, wow, isn't that really profound that, he couldn't talk to them. He couldn't make them see him for whatever reason. Maybe he just didn't have enough energy or whatever the case. But he was really continuing to warn them and to try to help them to get out of the place. But he did it from an emotional place. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you're getting those weird vibes, when you're getting those feelings, now I don't know, many of you do or not, but I tend to agree that there's something to this, that I think we do have. You can call them guardian angels, you can call them guides, you can call them whatever, but these really amazing energies that tend to try to help us out, and they look after us and protect us. And I think that that's one of the ways that they do that is by giving us those quote-unquote gut feelings. They put that inside of us, and I'm not saying that there aren't equally psychic people that can read that on their own, but I think everybody has experienced a case of intuition where they just felt really bad about something didn't feel right, they left a situation only to find out later that something terrible did happen or something not good happened, and I believe that unless the person is constantly getting those kind of vibes, that for the average person when it happens that has no claimed psychic insight or whatever, when they experience them, I think those are given to them. Those are from the guides, those are from the other watchers or whatever you want to call them. But we'll get into a lot more of this, of course, after the break, which is just about 2.5 minutes away now. I'm not sure if we'll get bumper music or not, but God, that static sucks. Isn't that horrid?
It is.
Oh, I don't know why it's so loud once those phones drop off, but when they do, it's like we're sitting next to a stream.
Yeah. Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if the noise is irritating you, close your eyes and imagine it's a nice flowing stream.
Yeah, nice little waterfall.
And we're sitting around a campfire having a chat, and that's the relaxing sound instead of a sound that drives you crazy. It's all here, ladies and gentlemen. It's all here. You can change the irritating into beautiful. because it does actually sound like a waterfall now that you said that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or going up on Trestle Creek.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds like being up there.
Yeah, Trestle Creek runs too. That
It
thing
does.
just
It's a
moves.
beautiful forest valley near here.
Yep.
But yeah, we are going to continue into this discussion as well, and we got some stories. Don, you're going to be doing some specific stories that I think will be really cool, and it's Don's going to be covering a few stories that have to do with text messages people received, and I think those are incredibly powerful as well because it shows, it again gets into last night's episode, that they can manipulate electronic devices.
Yeah.
And I think that that's incredibly powerful and incredibly cool. Now, the thing that'll be cool to see as we progress, as our circuits become more efficient, as they, our electronics become more dialed in with less voltage needs, is their ability to control them going to get more and more powerful? You know what I mean, Don?
Yeah. Because they become more sensitive,
Right.
and so they maybe they have more, they have the power to actually hit those sensitive circuits. That
Right.
makes perfect sense.
Like they used to require a 9-volt battery in order to run a remote, and now
Right.
you got these little dot
Sneeze and
batteries.
blow 'em
Yeah,
away.
yeah. So it's like a fraction of the energy to control circuits now, and does that give those that are passed on or other beings the ability to have more control over them because it doesn't exhaust the energy requirements so much? So we're going to go to break, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try to get this sound of this beautiful waterfall to to go away, but we'll
There
be
it
right
is.
back. Don't go away for more of the Paranormal Portal here on your computer. I guess. I don't know.
The ghost in the machine.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second half hour of the show tonight. Apparently, we lost more than just the phones. It sounds like the entire network feed went bad, but I think we're back on and everything's looking good now. So, yeah,
Knock a little bit
on wood. I don't know. I don't know. It looked like just the phones dropped, and we did hear the commercials come in through the Skype feed. So I figured we were still connected, but we did disconnect and reconnect. So it looks like we're back in business on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream, as well as YouTube. So, all right, let's get the show rolling, Don. What do you say?
I say let's roll that. Just roll it. Just go.
Let's roll it.
I was going the wrong way with that.
So the first one I'm going to read tonight is, can ghosts warn you of things that are going to happen? It's been around 3 years since I last visited here, but it's not a lot has happened in the way of ghost encounters for me, and I have found in my experience, the more you look for them, the less likely they are to show themselves. My granddad died in April, and unfortunately for me, he has not shown himself. However, I'm glad of this, as in my opinion, it means he is at peace. He died in the hospital after 2 months of declining health, but my story isn't about my granddad, it's about the 2 months he was in the hospital. It started off as small things, like white feathers appearing in strange places, like in my car or at my desk at work. I'm not someone who would normally believe in white feather meant anything, and could simply be that a cushion or a pillow needed replacing. I strongly believe that a robin is my dad watching over me, and on the day my granddad went into the hospital, a robin was sitting on the roof of my car. I originally thought how lovely, he has come to see me, but now I feel like he was trying to warn me of what was to come. I saw the robin a lot over the 2 months, and not the usual spotted in the garden, but more up close, like on windowsills and out walking. Still how just thought how nice it was. That was a terrible written sentence, but that's what it says. As the 2 months went on, strange things started to happen. I received a card like the ones you get with a bunch of flowers, nothing written on it, just a picture of a white feather. Nearly every light bulb in my house needed replacing. 3 chairs broke from around my dining table as soon as anyone sat on them. But the strangest thing of all was, while I was asleep, I felt someone grab me and shout as clear as day, "Get up!" I startled. I grabbed for my partner, and he said I was just having a dream, but he knew I wasn't, so I got up and checked my phone, and as I unlocked it, my mom started to call me. It was 2 a.m., and I knew it was bad news. My granddad had passed away. Since that moment, nothing else has happened, but I can't help but feel someone was trying to tell me or warn me or even prepare me for what was going to happen. Do you think it was a ghost, or that they can see what is going to happen? And that's a great question. Can they see what is going to happen? And I think that perhaps they can, because I believe they see things in their true energetic form. And as such, it's not really in time and space as we understand it. It's kind of, they can kind of look ahead and maybe see where that energy is going. They can look behind and see where it's been, kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, clearly I can only guess at such things. But I think that they can. I think there's something to that. Now, the symbolism also of the story, I think, is important. And this person believed that the robin represented her father. And I think that that's very powerful. Now, there was a YouTube video going around of this mother who had buried her child, which is an absolute horrid thing. And my heart just aches for that woman to have had to do that. That, that being said, she did say that her son had loved robins. He was just fanatic about robins, just always excited to see them and always looking at them. And as she went to his grave in the cemetery, a robin perched on his headstone and sat there and sang to her.
Huh.
And she just, obviously started crying. It was a beautiful thing. Now, that is perhaps another way that they can communicate is by bringing us symbols that we know relate to that person. And since the bird sang, I think she felt peaceful knowing that her son was happy, that he was okay, and just being gone from this world, he was still joyous and singing. And so I think that that's a beautiful representation and a beautiful way to receive communication from the other side. I don't know. What do you think of that, Don?
It's interesting because there's a lot of stories of, when people pass away, the loved ones that are left behind are visited by different types of animals or something, orbs, whatever that may be. And, maybe that would be just them offering comfort, saying it's okay, and just like, in the story here. But, I guess it also depends on what kind of animal it is, too, though. I mean, there's different views on what ravens mean,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, they're kind of creepy. So if a raven came down and started, kind of,
Squawking.
I'd be, wow, they can do more than squawk. They're just
they're
ornery
pretty
little things.
amazingly vocal creatures, but they're incredibly intelligent as
They
well.
are. And that would be the scary part. But, they offer, your dogs and your cats, that your personal, your personal pets that you have,
Mm-hmm.
they are the ones that key in the quickest. And I would imagine, even if you're just sad, I mean, it doesn't have to be the passing of someone, but they have that natural empathy, and they know when something's wrong. So,
Sure.
yeah.
But I do believe that they can communicate through animals,
Mm-hmm.
and and perhaps in concert with the animals. Now, I think that in many cases, animals are kind of neutral spirits, wild animals. Anyway, I know that when you have a pet, of course, it has a very strong personality.
Bias,
and
favoritism.
it may react differently to spirit and stuff. But I think wild animals tend to be just kind of I don't know how to explain it, but they're just as profound. It's just that they're not.
They don't represent anything necessarily to you, so
Right.
you have no positive or negative connection.
Right, exactly. And so, when stories like that come around where, birds represent something to somebody and then that symbol is noticed
Right.
so much more. Now, there's nothing profound about a robin showing up anywhere, really, because they're a very common bird.
Right.
But it's the way that it showed up, the time it showed up, the activity of the creature when the mother needed it, and in this case, this person
Right.
finding robins on her car and places that she had never noticed them before, and so that's where it becomes profound. And I know that the skeptics or the naysayers would say, "Oh, really? Well, I just saw a robin on my lawn, and whatever." They would try to find a way to
Right.
negate the value of that.
Right.
And I'll never understand that either with skeptical people. Why do they feel the need to negate that beauty? Why do they feel the need to negate that hope? And I don't understand. I don't know.
Right.
Other than, I guess some people just really would rather be right than kind. And, I don't believe they're right, but they do.
Right. Right.
So.
Somebody in the chat room says frequency compatibility. Do you think that particular type of animal is resonating on your spiritual frequency?
It could very well be, and that's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, I suppose, and I do believe there's something to that because I think there are hierarchies of wild creatures. Like, for instance, fish. I'm not saying fish can't, have personality, that they can't be intelligent, but they're certainly not a dog. They're certainly not
Right.
going to behave on that level. They are a utilitarian feature to the world in that they serve a very strong purpose in the maintaining of balance in the natural order.
Right.
And therefore they are incredibly beautiful, incredibly important, but I don't at the same time a bear, which is of course much higher on the food chain, they have incredible personality and they have incredible intelligence, and they can be ornery, they can be loving, they can be, any and all in between. They can have the personality levels nearly of a person as far as their depth.
I think some of that has to do with it was in my head. We don't have. I don't think we have the ability to understand a fish or even a whale. Well, no, a whale would be more. You'd be able to understand a whale because you can understand a dolphin a lot more. They show a lot more emotion.
Right.
But a fish, we're not compatible with fish in that sense. Land animals, yeah, I think that's different. But I don't think we can comprehend, the general overterm of fish.
Right.
So somebody said something about compatibility bias as well. Or I'm sorry, hold on. That's not quite. Was that what? I think it was MCAT.
Okay.
Frequency some days I wish I could remember things.
Me too.
Ian, 420 in TFR says fish are just dumb. Just face it.
Yeah.
Fish are just dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, confirmation bias. I'm sorry, confirmation bias. Because just because you see a robin
Right.
doesn't give confirmation.
Sure.
But as you said, it's the representation of that animal to you.
Right. And I assume that when people are seeing these things happen,
Right.
that the behavior is not something they've observed before. But you're right. People want to see paranormal everywhere. They want to see their loved ones everywhere, especially if
Right.
somebody passes away and you're dealing with a tragedy. Of course, you've got a bias to try to find meaning and comfort in that agony, And so, yeah, I'm sure that that's the case as well. But, does that make it any less profound? If it's healing, then, I think it's a beautiful thing. Whether or not I always agree with what people may claim about these things is really not as important as what it means to them.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right. No, I don't, I mean, look at all of the self-help things that are out there. I mean,
Right.
people have their own, confirmation bias in everything.
Right.
If you do this and, you eat this, if you don't eat this, stay away from this. And then, and there's so many different versions out there. Well, I guess we all resonate differently, and,
Right.
and some things are going to work and some things aren't.
And that's where the compatibility.
Right.
The other thing I just said,
Yeah.
the frequency,
Right.
compatibility.
Right.
frequencies, yeah.
Compatible. Yep. Absolutely. And I would agree with that. Those are very great insights and very great questions. Yeah, I think they're all valid. Is it always profound? No, but if it's profound to somebody that needs it to be,
Right,
then that's
right.
beautiful. And it is to them incredibly paranormal. Now, to everyone else, a robin on the car, it would just seem normal. Maybe they've seen robins do that all the time. Someone's pooping on the windshield. So it's possible that they are out there all the time. But this person saw it when they needed to,
Right.
and that's when it became perhaps divine in a nature, because it was comforting and it caused that person to feel better. Suffering loss is incredibly painful. I think we all understand that to some degree.
Right.
Some of us more than others, but I think it's any kind of symbol that's powerful and healing is a good thing.
Sure.
Do I think they're all paranormal? No. And do I think there's, like was pointed out in the chat, is there just wishful thinking? Yeah, there can be. But if it's healing, then awesome. Then that's amazing. And beautiful. Just my 2 cents. Again, I don't know. But I got the microphone, so you get my 2 cents and so much more. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys joining the discussion in the chat. I think that's incredibly powerful, and you guys are like the other co-host. So it's Don and myself and you guys, and we are the Paranormal Portal.
There you go.
So keep piping up your ideas, your opinions, and your thoughts on this. Let me look at. Okay, there are no calls.
That's almost as good as getting an email.
It really is. I mean, it really is. It's in real time, and it's relevant to what we're talking about. So absolutely, feel free to use the chat. That's outstanding.
Outstanding.
And Don is monitoring those currently. I wish I could watch it more, but
well, you got busy hands over there.
I do. I got a lot of things going on. A lot of windows all over the place. But this one is called "I'm Trying to Warn You."
Ooh.
To those not familiar with my stories, I live in a house inhabited by 4 spirits. Both of my grandparents, my friend Charlie, and a little boy who died in the house named Adam. Child spirits again. But I'll leave it go. Activity has been minimal for the past few months now. Gran still knocks on the fridge regularly, and Adam still comes to sit with me when I'm watching TV alone, but nothing big has happened for quite a while. Since May this year, there have been 9 separate attempts to break into my house at night. Last Wednesday, 26th of August 2015, was the last.
Yeah.
On Wednesday night, I was in bed early and clearly heard Gran knock on the fridge. Usually it's not very loud. Wednesday night, I could hear it in my bedroom from behind my closed door. On the opposite side of the house, even. Silly me, I did not think much of this and fell asleep. It was only out a few minutes when a frightening sound suddenly broke the silence in the house and had my heart racing in my throat. I quietly slipped out of the room and into the passageway. I looked towards the kitchen, and I decided to run back to my room, grab my pepper spray, and then go to the kitchen. On the kitchen counter, blaring white noise at the top of its volume, was a little radio. It had been switched off before I went to bed, and no one had gone near the radio since. But the fact that Gran had knocked loudly and then this happened was really ominous to me. I went to bed, and as I lay there, I could feel Gran in the room with me. She was agitated and pacing. The air almost sparkled with her presence. I finally fell asleep at some point, though. It was not a deep or particularly restful sleep. The next morning, I had left home for work and was only minutes away from work when my mom called me and asked if I had seen that our house had been marked during the night. White paint had been used to indicate 1 large figure and 2 smaller, 1 adult and 2 children. Easy target. I immediately knew why Gran had been so restless. She was trying to warn me. We have upgraded the security systems at home, working through the weekend to try and criminal-proof the house as best we can. I should know better than to ignore my grandmother. That's really cool. That's really cool. Someone's there keeping an eye on it. I think in those cases, the spirit should make itself visible to the person and scare the hell out of them so they don't come back. But, at least there's a warning. I think it's very cool.
Nice.
What do you think of that one, Don?
I think it's great. I mean, it's one of those things that I mentioned before. The grandma coming and kissing you goodnight. That kind of thing.
Right.
And this, as obviously, it's grandma trying to keep you safe, which is just one of those stories that just fall right into those categories.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's one of those things I would just love to experience. But like MCAT said, you may experience it someday, but it won't be what you expect.
Yeah. Careful what you wish for.
Exactly,
Yeah.
And driving home last night because we had that one,
Yep.
the one email from James up in British Columbia, and I was watching the entire way. I was driving up because I turned right there where he was talking about, and I had my eyes open. I even looked over to that embankment he talked about laying on, and I was watching for that.
Would that embankment have been across the highway from where you turn?
So
on the other side or on the side you turn on?
Yeah, it's the side you turn on.
That's what
so
I
when
was
you
picturing.
turn, it's on the left there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So that's
when-
where I was picturing it,
Yeah.
actually.
And
Yep.
and that's I was watching for that old bike style light,
Yeah.
yeah. Watching for the flickering and
I was thinking what we need to do is like stake it out.
okay.
I'm serious. You wouldn't?
Okay.
Would you do it?
The only problem is there's a house there now.
Oh, so there
There's-
wasn't back then.
Probably not.
So it's private property.
Yeah, so what happens is you turn on my road and then immediately left there's a driveway. Like 30 feet up from the corner.
Oh, okay.
And so it goes back a little ways. We could probably hang around on the corner sometime.
Right. Right.
But I certainly wouldn't go up onto the embankment too much.
Yeah.
But, I mean, certainly. But here we are, 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
hanging out on the corner of a highway in nowhere.
Yeah. Why not?
Sounds like a plan to me.
It's for the love of the game. That would be cool. I'm serious. I was thinking about that today. Actually, I was thinking,
well, I'm
we
all
could
for it.
we could stake it out. We get out and park back a ways and just kind of walk up there and just. I'm sure there wouldn't be much traffic. Well, no, there's always traffic
Well,
on 95, isn't
No,
there?
it won't be that much.
Yeah,
Even after
some
the
logging
show, there's not
trucks.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Logging trucks, definitely. God.
Yeah, that was cool. I love that story, and it's something that
great
we can check out. So,
Yeah, something we can put tangibility to.
right, exactly, very true. Let me see if there's anything on this one.
Oh, but other than that, no. There was a couple deer on the way.
Oh,
So
okay.
because you said well,
Yep.
be careful.
Well, because we had that weird thing happen
Yeah.
with the camera. Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh
what
yeah,
happened is
that's right.
we've got the broadcast software on my computer, and we shut it down. Don unplugged his camera and shut down his whole leg of with his laptop and stuff, etc., etc.
I forgot about
I had mine still going, and for some reason, Don's image froze
Kind of looked
on
like this.
there. Let me look. What is? Yeah, it's kind of like that. It was just like it was like you were, I don't know, like you were like a chimpanzee. Like,
Thanks.
I don't know how else to explain it, but your hands were up. I know you were grabbing your earphones to pull them off.
Yeah.
But it froze on that image, and
I
it
was
stayed
probably
there
saying something. Yeah, it was
even
creepy.
after you unplugged your camera. And I was like, ooh, that's weird. Why does Don look like he's in agony? Is that a warning, perhaps?
You're killing me here. Yeah, no doubt. Spirit photography type style.
There
Yeah.
it is. It just froze, and it kind of froze just like my TV did down there.
Oh.
So it was
I'm
like
not
that
as weird
happening.
looking as that particular person, though.
No, well, no,
Scary looking, I should say.
Right, but I mean, you had that weird
Yeah.
thing on your face, and you're like, like I'm done, and it just froze at the wrong time. So it wasn't your best picture.
Oh, absolutely not.
But that happened, and so when Don left, I'm like, dude, drive safely going home. I don't know what the hell that was about. But I figured, well, and you never know. Just by driving more attentively, maybe you avoided something.
Yeah,
Who
that's
knows?
possibly true.
Yeah.
It's high beams the entire way there, and people flashing their lights at me. I don't know why, but keeping my eye open.
Absolutely. You got to watch for the dangers. But I just figured that was pretty creepy after the night we had, and not knowing when the planchette fell, if that was part of the the recipe of last night or not, I don't know. So, anyway, very cool, very cool. But let's get back into some of this mayhem. We got about 3 minutes before the break, so now you're going to be presenting some stories about text messages.
Yeah.
Is any of them real quick? And
Well, they're pretty straightforward.
okay. Why don't you
So
start doing that one?
this one's nowadays we don't just use phones to make. Oh no. Yeah. No. Yes. Okay. Nowadays we just use phones to make calls. We don't just use phones to make calls. Today our phones can send text messages, emails, perform a huge amount of functions. So is it possible that the spirit of a dead person can send a text message? Not too long ago there was a case of a student in New Mexico who had a fight with her mother and left the house raging with anger. Shortly afterward, the teen was involved in a devastating head-on collision. She was rushed to the hospital but pronounced dead on arrival. 2 full hours before being pronounced dead, her mother received a text from her which said, "I'm sorry, Mom, forgive me." The fact that the phone was recovered from the crash, completely melted, destroyed, made this story even more unbelievable. So, not necessarily a warning, but we go back to how they manipulate, our technology.
Right. And that's the real interesting part of that is that this
phone.
person was just deceased.
Yeah.
And do we like automatically know these things? You know, something's crawling on my neck, for God's sakes. Seriously, is there like a spider or something cooking over here?
I don't see anything.
Dude, I just...
Oh, yeah, actually.
Okay.
There you go.
Is it gone?
Yep, it's gone.
Was it a spider?
A little beetle or something.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Jesus.
I won't tell the truth.
Yeah,
See
it's
him
like the
jump
size
up.
of your fist.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just a feeler it was putting over the back of the chair. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was just like, easy, that doesn't feel good.
No, it was fine. It was
Thanks.
Just a little beetle.
Thanks for grooming me
Yeah,
quickly.
no problem. Yeah, that's
No,
good
those
job.
are great stories, and I love those. I mean, it's a horrible tragedy, of course, losing a child, and especially in such a circumstance. But how healing was that message? Because could you imagine carrying that fight for the rest of your life? That was the last thing that happened.
Right.
And then to get, I mean, that beautiful message to bring some kind of healing to that tragedy. That's pretty powerful stuff. Very, very powerful. And the fact that the phone was absolutely devastated and destroyed. There was no way that text came from the phone. Very cool. And you got more of those?
I got a few more, yeah.
Okay. And we'll pick those up in the next hour, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to be taking our break here. And again, you can join us live on YouTube, or you can kick back where you are. If you're listening to us on iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream Live, or TFR Live, we are thrilled you're here with us. And don't forget, you can be a part of the show by calling in 213-233-3998 or TFR Live, 833-TFR Live. So we're going to take a break. Don't go away. And we'll be back for more spirit communications and warnings here on the Paranormal Portal. And I'm waiting. There's the bell.
There's the bell.
It's nice to hear the bell now. All right, we'll be right back, guys. And...
everyone. Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. just another fucking mess.
looks extraordinarily bad.
They linger in a perpetual dream state, a nightmare from which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, here on the portal. I was just totally rocking it up in here. I love that beat.
Oh, man.
Huh? I got some moves. You didn't even know that, did you?
This cannot be good.
This can't be good. No, I wasn't having any kind of seizure there, ladies and gentlemen. That was me enjoying the bumper to lead into the second hour. Of course.
Bump.
Bum.
Welcome to the second hour.
Wow, we got 3 things popping off here.
What?
Renee finally subscribed.
Oh, Renee finally subscribed. Thanks, Renee.
Well, glad we made the cut.
I guess we can go ahead and hit this like
outstanding. Very cool.
Now, if they just like the stream, it's that little thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely like the stream, guys.
Yeah.
If you're
We're
watching
at 13. 13's not a great number.
If you're watching on YouTube, of course, there is a like button there. And it really does help if you guys like it, because YouTube will promote videos with more likes.
Yes.
More so than, and I know you guys love the shows and you've been great. And
we love you too.
Spreading the word and supporting the portal, of course, is amazing. You guys are phenomenal. But please like the videos if you would, because that promotes us to the YouTube list of suggested videos.
Yep.
So then more people will be introduced to the portal, which will be really cool. So
and also make comments, nice comments, because you love us. And the more comments you make, the more relevant we become in the big search engines.
All right.
Yes.
So, all right.
Because we still love you.
Well, we always love you guys, but we are cruising the night away talking about spirit communication. And now, Don, that story you just read was incredibly profound. Incredibly profound. I think that is absolutely cool. So why don't you just continue through the list of those that you have?
Let me see what I can do here. Okay, that one's not such a great one. This one's just real quick. Ben ran to wake up his father, and together they contacted his mom, who turned out... Oh, sorry. Let's start at the top. Oh, that is it. Ben ran to wake his father, and then they contacted his mom, who turned out to be safe at work. But later that day, they found out that Ben's great-grandmother had died around the same call he received. Okay, so apparently they forgot to put the other part. Apparently Ben received a phone call.
Oh,
and,
okay.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
What the phone call said, I don't... Well, it didn't matter because it was just the same time that his grandma died.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Oh, okay. This one comes from a way back. This is from the 1960s. This is a phone call that was made, I guess. Let's see here. Reports of calls from dead have been around for years. This one comes out of the late 1960s. Sima Lieberman had just moved in together with her lover, a man named Johnny. The two were blissfully happy and planned on getting married soon. One night, Johnny went out, and a few hours later, Sima received a strange phone call from him. The line was full of static, and his voice sounded rushed. According to her account, he said, "I just want you to know that I love you, and that I'll never be mean to anyone again." She tried to ask him what was wrong, but the line went dead. A few hours later, she received another call, this time from Johnny's mother. She told Sima that Johnny had been shot and killed in his car earlier that night, long before she received the strange phone call.
Wow. Yikes.
So, another, two that have been remorseful, but adding to, the I love you part, and the mom forgive me, the relief, the closure.
Yeah.
Of those particular situations. Really interesting.
It's a phenomenal occurrence, no matter what. But
Right.
they are absolutely beautiful in that they came through when they were most needed.
Right. Yeah.
When those messages were most needed, they appeared and they showed up. Yeah, just amazing.
So another one, and I think may have covered this one before. Let's see here. This is did a dead man make 35 calls after a train crash? One of the most popular stories involving messages from the dead in recent history was that of a man named Charles E. Peck. In 2008, Charles was aboard a Metrolink commuter train that was traveling through Los Angeles when it crashed into a freight train. The disaster claimed lives of 25 people, including Charles, who was killed on impact. But hours after his death, Charles's phone continued to make calls to his friends and family. The phone made at least 35 calls, and when his loved ones answered, all they could hear on the other end was static. When they tried to call back, the phone went straight to voicemail. The phone was never recovered. Was it a case of a damaged phone malfunctioning, or Charles trying to communicate one more time?
Wow.
I think we've kind of gone over that one before.
That one sounds familiar.
Pretty
Yeah.
popular. Let's see here. This one is deceased wife haunts her husband with text messages. That would be my life. With the advent of text messaging, more and more people are reporting that they have received strange text messages, possibly from the other side. In 2008, a man from Lancashire claimed that he was getting text messages from his wife. The only problem was his wife had died a few months earlier. The bizarre haunting started when the man received a phone call. Phone call from himself, and when he answered, he was struck by a familiar scent of his wife's perfume.
Ooh.
Then the text messages began. They all came from a hidden number, and they all included words and phrases that his wife had used often. Would you want to receive phone calls or messages from your loved ones after their death, or would it just creep you out too much? So, Brent, would it creep you out?
Nah, I mean, of course it would be bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd use the term creepy, but because I equate creepy with like, ooh, that's really wrong. Like
Right,
there's
okay.
something wrong with that.
Right.
I think it's really cool, but it would be kind of bizarre. It would be strange. And I would just probably go half insane just trying to figure out how that could happen.
Right.
And I am now. I mean, as I'm thinking about this, as we're doing the show,
Right, yeah.
it's like, how are they doing that? What is going on? And, what is the hint that these, occurrences are showing? I mean, obviously there's the obvious hint is that they're okay. These people are okay and still reaching out. And maybe that just shows in one physical way that they're always with us and carrying us in their hearts. Now, still though, is this type of communication possible across the veil? Is there something that we can learn from this to learn how to communicate with those people? I mean, what would it be like if we could develop a technology where you could call Grandpa up and say, where'd you hide your extra key? Because I'm locked out,
Where do you keep all that money I know you hid?
Where's those jars of cash you were
exactly.
rumored to have buried in the yard? You know what I mean, though? It's just that opportunity.
Right.
Is there an opportunity? Of course, there are people that communicate regularly with the other side, and that is amazing and phenomenal as well. But, is there a future where we don't lose that ability to talk? Everybody doesn't lose that ability to talk. And is that cool, or is that, weird? I don't know. I think it's cool.
I don't know. I don't know. Because you often wonder, what would, and this is exactly what we're talking about, what if, a close relative of mine from beyond the grave was trying, and, it's one thing to have grandma come and knock on your door and wake you up, like in that one of those other stories you read. And it's another one for her to come and kiss you goodnight, But I don't know. Start messing with my electronics, but I have this thing. I know that sometimes when I write a text message to someone, they don't get it for like an hour. So I know that there are situations where text messages get jammed up.
Yeah, in limbo. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So like the ones where people were killed an hour or 2 or 3 before, not so. Especially the one about sorry, Mom, please forgive me. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a great story, but, it's one of those situations where, you hit the send button and it just rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls. And then it says, message was not sent. We'll retry when connect with network or whatever.
Sure.
It could be just one of those. It could just be stuck in the buffer.
I have many many texts that I've never received from my wife that she has shown me that she sent. Like I'll be at the store and she'll say, "Oh, pick up, some carrots," and I'll come home without the carrots. Like, why didn't you do that? I was like, "What?"
I don't have a text. It's not there.
I would have to literally. I wouldn't have to, but I could show her my phone and show that I obviously didn't receive them, but she can show me her phone showing she obviously sent them. So You're right. There is the possibility that things get sent out and they just get lost somewhere. Will they ever be fulfilled? Will I someday, get a message from my
when was the last
wife?
Time you turned your phone off?
Well, I turn it off about every week
okay.
because I got an older phone and it just gets really doggy. So I got to turn it off and let it refresh the RAM or whatever. But, I guess it's possible. Very strange, though. Will I ever receive those messages at some unforeseen time, or do they just buffer for a certain period of time and then they just get purged because they were undeliverable?
Yeah, maybe.
I would assume that that's the case.
One of our chatters said, my mother had bought an old antique rotary phone. Thanks.
Those are great.
She dreamed her deceased mother called her on it shortly after purchasing it. So that's interesting. She had a
really
dream
cool.
of her mother calling. That is crazy. I'd be wanting to know, did they have that particular style or make of rotary phone in their house that they used? They would connect the mother to the memory of that particular phone?
Yeah, possibly. And that sounds probably more like a psychological trigger, but perhaps it's not. Perhaps that's,
Maybe not.
I mean, there's many, many, many cases of people being communicated with during the dream state because we are, of course, in a more open state at that time, and it's easier for our loved ones to get through, just through our hectic days, our hectic mind thought cycles.
To pierce through our walls that we've built against certain things, our own psychology.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, when you're in a sleep state, you're in a very relaxed, open state, and some very profound dreams have come through that were, can be prophetic. They can be, hidden insights. So many people have dreamed, so many scientists have dreamed solutions to problems that they've been wrestling with for years and just suddenly have a dream. Now, is that more of a function of a mind being relaxed and unhindered and solving things subconsciously? Perhaps. But perhaps it's inspired too. Perhaps, we learn through our, through what we receive not only during our days and through our knowledge and information, maybe we receive knowledge from the other side as well. I can't tell you on a personal level, I can't tell you how many times somebody will bring up a concept that I have no business knowing, and I can sit and just mention facts about it in order to converse. And then afterwards I'm like, where the hell did that come from? Right. I don't know anything about that. But it was there. And so is that a symptom of me being open and able to, on some level channel that information? Maybe. I don't know. Huh. But it's incredibly profound and it's incredibly cool. So, I believe there are many ways they can reach out and touch us, whether it's appearing physically as an apparition, whether it's a dream, whether it's an emotion, whether it's a text message, or a phone call, whatever. There are so many avenues in which I think we experience the spirits around us, whether they're, loving people looking out for us, or whether they're, right. people not happy with us for whatever reason. Right. But I think that they can communicate, and they do communicate. Now, I think most people are experiencing these things, regularly. It's just that we just chalk it up to things like, well, I was inspired in a dream. Well, maybe you got a message in a dream. I mean, right. I know a lot of people don't like to acknowledge that there is a life after death and that there is a spirit world. And so they, have to stick with the terminology and understandings that they can deal with. But, is it possible that those are all communications as well? That great symphony that was, written was inspired by, some other source. Right. Perhaps. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's all food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, but that's part of what we do here on the Portal is we talk about ideas.
There you go.
And, any of your guys' opinions out there is just as valid as, any scientist that's come up with a theory that they can't possibly prove. So it's all on the table here on the Portal, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
It's all out there.
So I found this story that was written, article that was written, and it's called "Voices from the Grave: Ghostly Warning."
Very good.
So this one says, Carol was awakened by the sound of one of her young daughters screaming in an adjoining room in the middle of the night. Uh-huh. Carol ran to the bedroom where she found her 2-year-old Laura crying and trembling. The badly frightened girl told her mother that she had seen another little girl in her bedroom. Carol searched the room but could find no one. When Laura quieted down, Carol questioned the toddler about what had frightened her. Laura claimed the little girl had no clothes, had come through the ceiling from the attic to talk to her.
Jeez, yikes.
Laura was the first person in the family to see this ghostly little girl, but over the next several years, others would share the experience. The newspaper article from Rockford Register dated February 6, 1976, the family members shared their frightening encounters with the young ghost. Alan, Laura's father, told the reporter that he was sleeping on the couch one evening when he felt someone touch his arm above the elbow. He woke up and was shocked to see a little blonde girl running down the hallway towards the bathroom. It scared the hell out of me, he said. The Neal family had experienced the ghostly visitor for over 4 years. By 1976, they rented the home and were very skeptical about what they had seen. But then more family members began to share what they had seen and heard. Everyone who saw the little girl gave the same description. They claimed she was 3 feet tall and had beautiful blonde hair and blue eyes. They also began to notice a pattern to the series of encounters. They noticed that there would be no period of sightings, and then suddenly they would see the little girl again. They realized that the visits were usually followed by something bad occurring to the family. After one sighting, the family dog was struck by a truck. After another experience, a family member was attacked by a stranger. The family began to view the visits as a warning from the little girl. The family decided to question the neighbors about the history of the house to see if they might know the identity of the child. The neighbors offered Carol a clue when they mentioned that a small girl of a previous owner of the house had drowned in the bathtub sometime in the early 60s. Further research in the story was learned that the story told to the family proved to be almost correct. The actual truth of the toddler's death was more dreadful. On December 22nd, 1961, a little girl, almost 2 years old, was being cared for by her uncle. The uncle drew a bath for the child but stepped out of the room for just a moment to grab something. He hadn't checked the temperature of the water and didn't realize how hot it was.
Ooh.
The girl fell into the tub of scalding water. The first to arrive on the scene was the sheriff's deputies, who wrapped the little girl in a blanket and rushed her to the hospital. The tiny girl was burned over 80% of her body, and she succumbed to the injuries several hours later, and she was buried in a burial park.
That's so horrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe the fact that the cruel incident caused the death made the child want to help the family that resided in her former home. Whatever the reason, the family took comfort in the fact that the child was still there. The mother was quoted as saying, "I don't mind seeing our little ghost, but I know she's warning us to be careful, and something bad always happens afterwards." There you go.
Yeah, it's like a premonition then, yeah?
Yeah.
Or an omen, as it were.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
That's a really cool one.
Oh.
But the manner of death, you've got to just feel for the uncle. He probably didn't even think to check the temperature of the water.
Yeah.
And then
God.
for having, been, that's another thing. You can imagine. You try to think of what you might do if it was your child, but think of what you would think or feel if it wasn't your child, but you were the cause. That would be dreadful.
I can't imagine putting a child in a tub that I didn't check, though.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I could never.
But you're a dad.
Well, I know, but I mean, even before I was a dad, when I would, babysit and stuff, I used to babysit a lot as a teenager, and
Sure.
I would never have put a child in a bath that I didn't know was, lukewarm or, at least comfortable.
Right.
I mean, you got to try pretty hard to burn a child that deeply.
That's true.
You know, I mean,
80% and then them.
I mean, that had to have been right off the freaking stove.
Yeah.
Into a pan, and in the child goes. I mean, it's
right. Well, that was the 1960s, and water heaters, I imagine, weren't as regulated.
No, I know, but I mean, still.
Nowadays, we can't. By law, you're not. A person who installs it isn't supposed to put it on over like 120 degrees.
Right.
But our technology has advanced since then, so of course now we can do that. So.
I mean, this is still.
But
you don't put a child into something you haven't sampled. Nobody would, I don't think.
I don't know why anybody would. Well, okay.
What I'm saying is that I think something was wrong with that uncle. Is my point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't even make sense. You've got to try. I mean, you'd have to take it right from a pressure cooker and put it into a pot and put a child into that to burn them that completely and so severely that they would succumb to it. I mean, that's just horrid. Yeah. But anyway, I digress.
But she's a good little girl.
She is, and that's sweet and all. But again, my heart breaks that she's, obviously in some sort of limbo or stuck or whatever. I don't understand how, something good and just and holy didn't come and take that child home. But anyway, my 2 cents. Again, yes. I must be up to about 50 cents and change right now.
Wow.
So let's continue our journey. But cool, very cool stories, and
Sure.
Thank you for reading them and bringing them to the table, as it were.
Absolutely.
All right, so.
We got 2.5 minutes left.
2.5 minutes? Oh, my God. I got more stories to read, Don.
Well, I leave it to you, my friend.
Gosh. This sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
Why do you always hog the mic?
God, Don. Share a little. Whatever. No, it's cool. I appreciate all your stories. I'm just I just like this discussion. I like this topic, and I think we can all learn from not only what we're reading but what we're sharing and what people in the chat room are sharing as well.
When they're talking about on subject.
Well, yeah, and they are. For the most part, they are right now. Somebody, Renee was saying that they went to a family restaurant and were eating, and a bulb blew out at the table, and the other bulb that was at the table sat and strobed during the whole meal. And,
wow.
like somebody was reaching out or, making.
Going like this.
Yeah. Watch this. Ding, 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 ding.
Watch me mess with these people.
You're eating like ding, 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 like you're in a fun house.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, God, is it at my lips
Why
yet?
is that strobing?
Yeah, I know. But it's a very profound thing, right?
Right, sure.
So I love the input in the chat room, brother. They are the third host of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I don't really have time for a story. Do you have anything quick?
Oh, sure. I got another one of those cell phone stories.
Please.
This one is I'm freezing. Messages from the dead on Facebook.
Oh, geez.
Now, this story is courtesy of Reddit. It's almost certainly a hoax. Well, then, maybe no, let's just keep going now. Reddit user Nathan used the No Sleep subreddit to chronicle the story of a haunting via Facebook. He claims when his girlfriend, Emily, had died, he kept her Facebook account active and shared access with her mother. But after a few months after her death, he started to receive really creepy messages from Emily's profile. She was taking herself in pictures with him and complaining about the cold. In one message, she apparently posted a picture from outside of his house looking in. Nathan was convinced that the messages were coming from her, and many people would believe him too. Although several commented that they thought he was doing it to himself because he suffered from grief.
Oh,
interesting.
That's.
And some people will point. That's the skeptic people.
Well, those are harder as well to get behind as well because Facebook is how many accounts have been hacked regularly.
Exactly, yeah.
Somebody might have had access to that account forever and just being a tool and causing grief.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back for the last half hour of the show. Don't go away.
We'll be back.
Extendivite really works.
Right,
just listen to what some people have
cue up
to say.
the video here.
hate, no hype, no fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for the last half hour of our show. Thank you guys for being here. I did a little robot for you guys on YouTube. You could see it. I was just cutting some moves off for y'all,
He was cutting it right.
showing you the skills. I got the skills. Let me just share that.
You got skills.
For before I go any further, I just want to share something that Alan Holman shared in the TFR chat. It says, "I'm 37 and I'm currently living in an apartment with my mother. She saw a ghostly apparition for a few seconds in our bathroom a few months ago. So I burnt some sage there, and we haven't noticed anything like that since." Very cool story. Thank you, Alan, for sharing that. And yeah, sage is a real powerful cleanser. It's always a good first step, if of course, if you're noticing that you don't feel very comfortable and you feel like the atmosphere is heavy. It's a great cleanser of energy, and it's a great way to push a lot of negativity out in a hurry. It's a very powerful thing. So well done, and sounds like you handled it right. And I don't know, it's hard to know whether an apparition equates to something that's going to give you a lot of problems or not, but I think saging is a good first route, and it'll take care of about 90% of paranormal issues in a hurry. So well played, sir, and thank you for sharing that in the chat room. I appreciate that. So I'm going to read another one here. It's called "Trying to Get Attention."
Yes, you are.
I always am. That's why I do the show, Don, because people love me here. And what's not to love? I just made a weird face. Nobody on TFR or iHeart can see that, but I made a really weird face at that point. All right, I've had several strange things happen to me before, but that was back when I still lived with my parents. Since moving out and living in several houses, I have had nothing to happen until about 6 months ago. And this story comes out of Australia. Ken, this is for you. From this year, March 21st, actually. So this is an Australian story from down under. All right, I was home alone. It was around 6 p.m., and I was chopping up vegetables for dinner. My dog was in our bedroom, and the house was dead quiet. All the windows were closed, and outside was very quiet and still. It wasn't windy outside, and all you could hear was the repetitive chop of my knife. I was in the back end of the house where the kitchen, dining, and lounge area are, and laundry. And it is a rectangular room starting with the kitchen on the left, and then the dining room in the middle, and then the lounge. In the left corner of the room off of the kitchen is the laundry room. So to the right of me, as I'm in the kitchen, the door of the laundry is open. But it faces into the room, so where I'm standing, I cannot see into it. I'm standing behind the kitchen bench, facing the dining table and lounge. Then I heard what sounded exactly like someone blowing into a glass bottle. It was very loud and clear, and it was coming from inside the laundry. It made me jump a little, and it creeped me out. I stood there in silence, just listening. Nothing. I thought it was super weird, and I knew it was coming from inside the house. I called my dog over because I then felt weird being alone, and my dog came into the room unfazed. But when she left, she stopped and turned and looked into the laundry room for a good moment. But then she turned around and kept walking, so I thought, if my dog isn't freaked out, then I'm okay. Only about 3 minutes later, when I had gone back to chopping, I heard, coming from the other side of the dining table, a long, distinctive, breathy voice, loud and clear. "Hey." This wasn't some faint sound that sounded like a voice. This was a voice, and I can replicate quite easily and clearly, and it would have been a yell, so I guess it was really loud. I jumped this time for real and put my hands up in shock. I can tell you the exact tile, T-I-L-E, said person would have been standing on. Oh, okay, so there's apparently a tile floor. It was exactly like someone was in the room with me, and I was so freaked out I called for my boyfriend, who was driving home, and made him stay on the speakerphone all the way home. He was skeptical at first until he got home, and I could better explain to him what happened. I thought possibly it could have come from the TV or speaker, but my other half knows how that stuff works and said it wasn't possible. He was also perplexed by it. I haven't heard anything since. I did have a moment the other day where the laundry door handle moved on its own, but the latch could have just loosened by itself, maybe. The one good thing is that I never felt unsafe or any kind of negativity during or since that experience. But since that day, and because of all my other experiences, I do wonder if someone is either trying to get my attention or just wants to remind me from time to time that they're around. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. They just want you to know. And I think that's the case of a lot of ghostly phenomena, is that they just want to be acknowledged as part of the home. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have a spirit or something around and it's made itself known, by all means communicate, but just say, look, I don't mind if you're here, but
Ground rules.
yeah, give them ground rules. Give them an understanding of what you're okay with, what you're not okay with. Like, I don't care if you're here, but no scaring the kids. I don't care if you're here, but
Don't touch my barbecue.
don't touch the barbecue. Stay out of my freezer meat, and don't hide my keys.
Yeah, there you go.
Those kind of things, and just maybe even give it a name if you feel so inclined. Give it a name, give it a personality. It's up to you, but normally, in a lot of cases, that'll be the end of your problems. It'll just be like, okay, it understands more of what you expect, and you, of course, are acknowledging that presence, and that can be comforting to them, perhaps. Sometimes we all just need a little attention. So the next one is, are these signs of a spirit trying to communicate? I'm not sure really how to write this, so please forgive any expression mistakes. And also, English is not my mother language, so forgive any any orthographical mistakes. Well, it's doing better at English than I am. I've never even heard of orthographical, but very cool. And this story comes out of Brazil, or the person writing it. So, lately, for the last month, I guess, I've been dealing with weird sensations. You must understand that I am a skeptical person, and it's not that I don't believe in the supernatural world, but I never thought that something could happen to me. I just prefer to stay away from stuff like this. I think it all started when my mom told me the weird noises came from our fridge. Zool.
What?
Ghostbusters,
Goodness.
when they open the fridge and
Yes.
it's I thought it could be something wrong with the fridge, or maybe thermal expansion, but it wasn't common noises of expansion that we hear late at night. When I'm alone in my bedroom, I can hear it starting at the garage, coming to the kitchen, and then it stops in my bedroom, specifically in my wardrobe, and then my cat stares at the wardrobe. If things had stopped there, I would have managed to keep ignoring it, but it got worse. In all the moments that I'm alone at home, I feel goosebumps on my back head. The back of their head is what they're saying. And my hair shivering. I even thought my hair was dirty and went right away to the shower, but of course it continued after the shower. When I felt I just couldn't pretend it wasn't happening or that it was natural, I started to feel like I was being watched all the time, and that the thing that appears in the corner of my eyes. I've watched dozens of horror movies. That's probably not a good thing to do if you're already having issues. By the way, just my own 2 cents. In my 16 years of life, and I know how cliche it sounds, but I'm frightened. What scares me the most is the fact that I feel that this entity isn't evil, or at least is not trying to cause me any harm, but I'm too scared to think of a solution. Yesterday I felt really tired after my part-time job, so I just wanted to sleep when I got home and went straight to bed. I've been feeling drained lately. I had ordinary dreams, usual things. The dream has nothing to do with the supernatural encounter. I was sleeping on my stomach, and then suddenly I woke up feeling 2 hands gripping my waist.
Ooh.
I tried to turn my head to see it, but I couldn't. I felt too weak. Then I just thought, please don't hurt me, I'm scared. The hands kept holding me for a while. It felt warm and comforting, but I was scared with the situation, so I didn't want it to happen. And as if the entity understood me, the gripping eased, and I could still feel it, but I could move again. I got up to see my cat staring at this spot, the wardrobe direction again. Now, no one I know and love has recently died. In fact, I never had a close relative who died. Our house was built from scratch a few years ago, so nothing tragic happened here. I can't find any rational explanation. I just feel it isn't evil, but I don't know how to act. So if somebody went through this sort of things, could you please tell me what to do? Thank you for your attention and lots of love. Suppose I should check. Oh, we have a call. And it is Mr. Nacy.
Nacy!
Mr. Nacy, are you there, sir?
Hello and hi.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing well as well as you. I don't know if I'm doing as well as you, but I'm doing well. As are you. That was almost like Dr. Seuss, huh?
The spider went squish under Donnie's foot.
Quite possibly.
Very much. How you doing tonight?
You killed the spider. I'm doing really well. You know, it's interesting. I was babbling on in Babylon as I've been doing lately.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking about got into demons.
Oh.
And demons and kind of synchronicities and stuff. And then after I finished, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude on your show. I never like to go on when you're on. Sorry. But I did go over 20 minutes that I expected. And then I started listening to the show and listening to, you know, the birds and the robin, the synchronicities.
Right.
You know, and you said it well and elegantly about, you know, sometimes there are those moments, you know, where we really can't call it, well, I guess you could call it whatever you wish, but coincidence. But when it's a synchronicity is when those moments or those alignments occur and it means something to you.
Mm-hmm.
It may not mean anything to anybody else, but to you, that robin, you know, and I told you this about, you know, about my relationship with the crows.
Right. Yep.
And by God, it's getting worse, it seemingly. But I wanted to add to that last story that you were just talking about, that I agree with you about acknowledging these entities and these spirits and stuff, but definitely as a rule of logic, as you would think, is to utilize protection, whether it be like you were saying, sage, or any of your amulets or things that you've put your manipulations of fields or power into, whether it be like the cross of, you know, the crucifixion, or whatever, you know, even if you decided to make yourself a little wand, or even if you have that stone that you carry in your pocket, it has your power. And utilize it and harness it to make your intents well known to these entities, because just as we have dastardly people or humans, there are also dastardly entities that will act like a buddy, act like a friend, and unfortunately, or fortunate, you know, the lesson is there to be learned. You know, but caution is always a good rule of thumb.
Right. Yep, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. You're absolutely right. And that's where I think your intuition is important when dealing with these kind of things, because I believe that we're all kind of cued into sensing darkness. You know, it's almost a primal thing that's deep within us, and I guess some people maybe more than others, but I think that, you know, if people can find that centered place, maybe they can figure out if what they're dealing with is dark or light, because once you're centered, you'll get a real clear barometer on it. But I think, the problem is most people don't remember how to get centered because we live in such a world of distraction and overstimulation of our senses.
And we're moving so fast nowadays too. We just moving so fast. I was telling somebody a couple weeks ago when I dropped Brent off at the airport that I never realized what I was missing, whether that be spiritually or physically or whatever, until I moved out of Washington State and I got to slow down in Idaho. And so it's those synchronicities, now I may be able to catch a few more of them, so yeah, it's the rate we move.
Absolutely. You are right.
Well, and it's even funnier in the synchronicities of right now that we're at the new moon. So we are at the ultimate darkness of the month, of the starting, the restart. Right. Of the cycle of the moon, and don't get me on that, but as we are in this darkness, we tend to forget to change our perspective and realize that the other side of the globe, the sphere, the ball, the plate, there's the opposite occurring. Because like when you have a blank piece of paper right in front of you, and it's a nice, brilliant white piece of paper, and it's sitting down on the counter, that other side of the paper is black.
Right.
And you can't see it. But then when you flip it over, all of a sudden it's white, and the white side of the paper that you just had at you is now black because it's facing down, and it's not getting the light. So that divinity within ourselves, as you said, the light and the dark, or positive and negative. So we have this opportunity to synchronize with those greater cycles. And as the sliver of the moon starts showing up, we can say, okay, this is my first step. This is day one. And we can utilize that synchronicity to transform ourselves, because as we go through hard times, we also go through dark times, or we go through light times.
Right.
And so we got the full moon that's going to occur in 15 days from now, which is bizarre in itself when it should be. Don't get me going. But yeah. But yeah, so in this darkness, be the light, and those entities are here with us to help us as much as they are here to harm us. It's just recognizing and finding that light. And when you utilize your own power, because that power is there for us to utilize, because it can't be destroyed. And just because we can't see our breath, we don't realize the visual of the frequency that occurs of our vibrating vocal cords. So it is power. So utilize your power.
Right.
Amen.
And cast out the demons.
Yes, absolutely. Take them out like the trash. That's right. I'm going to be calling you tomorrow as well. I got your message, so I'll be reaching out to you tomorrow, brother.
Right, and it's enjoyable to have you back.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about your experience there in Minnesota.
Yeah. I did just get back a couple of weeks ago, ladies and gentlemen, from going to Minnesota for my father's memorial. And it was a good experience. It was a good time and pretty healing, and it was important. But it was nice to be back home in some ways, and it was nice to get back in other ways, get back here. Of course, I miss doing the portal, which is always hard to walk away from. But ladies and gentlemen, if you get a chance to, definitely catch Naysay on his Facebook. He's been doing some shows on Facebook, and you get a chance to hear more of the amazing insights and wisdoms of Mr. Naysay. So what is your Facebook? How can they find you, brother?
Well, my Christian given name is, and thank you. I humble before you, sir. I appreciate the slug, the plug, the love. Sure. But my Christian given name is Kevin Richard Shores. I prefer to be called Naysay. And if you throw in Kevin Richard Shores and the Megaphone Man, you can find me. And I think I'm all public
Yeah, I think so.
So I think there's nothing to hide that they don't already know. Who's they?
Right. Who are they? And what do they want?
Who are they?
Absolutely. But yeah, check him out, ladies and gentlemen, because you'll enjoy. And as you just got a sampling from this phone call, he's just a very profound person. And
He
so
is, yeah, absolutely.
you can have a chance to hear more of what he has to say on his Facebook. Again, Kevin Richard Shores, the Megaphone Man. Look him up on Facebook and tune in, because you'll walk away with something every time he gets a microphone in front of him.
Absolutely.
All right, brother.
I will not confirm nor deny those statements.
We'll do it for you.
Hopefully you confirm it, because you'll make a liar out of me otherwise. So.
Oh, well, then I confirm it. Absolute. That's an absolute righteous right.
All right. Thank you,
So,
brother.
Hey, Donnie, miss you. Love you. You guys have a beautiful night. Thanks
Thanks,
for
Missy.
being paranormal.
There you go.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, bud. We'll talk later.
All right, Toodles.
Okay. Well, that was cool. It's always good to hear from Nase. He's been a long-time friend and supporter of the show, and he's been my guest several times, appeared on the show, and we've had some amazing discussions. And you can find a few of those archives here on YouTube. If you check it out, youtube.com/Paranormal Portal, you can see some of the episodes. Or if you're a member of TFR at tfrlive.com/Paranormal Portal, you can join and become a member there and get access to all of the show archives going back a couple years. And not only my show, but every other show on TFR, and you can download commercial-free episodes at your leisure.
Yep.
So you can download them and listen to them later if you don't want to listen to them now. But those are a couple of ways you can follow the Paranormal Portal and also all of TFR.
There you go.
If you so choose. But if you love Don's hat, head over to paranormalportalradio.com. paranormalportalradio.com, and you too can have a hat or a sweatshirt or a t-shirt of your own that is emblazoned with the proud
logo.
Logo, thank you. That word was just gone from my head. Logo, absolutely. Of the portal. So more things are coming soon to that store as well. But it definitely helps to support what we're doing, because what we're doing isn't cheap. Nope. It is an undertaking, and it does have a financial burden. So if you like what you're hearing and you want to be a part of supporting what we're doing, then please head over to paranormalportalradio.com. And you too can look as cool as Don. Except you need a beard.
You need the beard. Yeah.
Maybe we should sell beards.
I've got to start using a beard oil or a beard balm.
Oh dear God.
That way I found one, it's called Sasquatch. Swear to God. I also found one called Vampire Hunter.
Oh,
they sound amazing.
I'm sure they empower you to a great deal. What the hell does it do? Does it make you so you can sculpt shapes into it and stuff?
No. It's a conditioner. It's natural oils, essential oils.
How the hell do they know what Sasquatch conditions with?
Well, it just, oh my goodness.
Can't even find the damn thing, and now you know his conditioner? Come on. That is funny, but what a marketing ploy.
We all know Slim Jims knows who he is.
Is it? It's not Slim Jims, is it? It's Jack Links.
Jack Links, sorry, yeah, Jack Links.
Jack Links.
Well, those are actually better anyhow.
Are they? Well, I do like eating some meat when I can, but I think I like the teriyaki jerkies, whatever company makes them. I'm all about them. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're down to a 3-minute mark. Do you have a quick one you can throw in at this point?
Yeah.
Please.
I've got more of these cell phone stories.
Please. Take it from here, Don.
Come on, let's see here.
When here go.
Okay, so this one is he died alone but tried to reach out one last time. When we get news that someone close to us has passed away, it's natural to feel shock and sadness. What makes matters even worse is when we hear that they died alone and they were only discovered a few days later. A woman who had been separated from her husband received a phone call from the police informing her that he had passed away. They had found him in his flat and concluded that he had died 2 days earlier. Minutes after receiving this terrible news, her phone started to ring, but when she answered it, she saw it was coming from her husband's phone. She answered, thinking it might be the police calling from his phone, but only heard static on the other side. What makes this story even more creepy is that she recovered her husband's phone later on, and there was no record of the call.
Ooh.
So there you go.
Yikes.
Let's see here. I got another minute. Let's see. Do I got another one? Yeah, short one.
Cool.
Okay. So this one is something strange is going on here.
Ooh.
Jeremy and Joe were best friends, so when Joe suddenly died from heart trouble, Jeremy was devastated. But it seems that Joe wasn't ready to cross over. A few weeks after Joe had died, Matt, Jeremy's brother, received a phone call from someone who sounded exactly like Joe. He said to Matt, "Matt, it's Joe. Is Jeremy home? Something really strange is going on." Matt was so stunned that he could barely answer. He somehow managed to recover himself enough to say, "No, he's not home. Sorry." At that point, the call disconnected. Matt quickly checked the caller ID, which advised that the call came from a hidden number. He tried to call it back using *69, but was unable to connect. Joe never called again.
Aww.
Unfortunate, but apparently true. So, 45 seconds. What is Deb Varner's? It's Purple Mist.
Purple Mystic Readings by Deb, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so. Purple Mystic Readings by Deb.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Yes.
That way you can get a hold of her and
get a reading of your own.
Absolutely, absolutely. What else? Reports of the unexplained on Facebook.
That's a reporting page that we've started for to help you guys if you need help, but also to bring some format to the show. But we are about out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So stick around for Into the Microcosm coming up next on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, or TalkStream Live. And we love you bunches, and we'll see you Wednesday night. Be good, be kind, be nice to each other.
Hump day.
We love you bunches, and we'll see you next time here on the Portal.
Thank you.
Wednesday live stream at 7.
There you go. Alrighty.
I don't hear any commercial.
I don't either.
Hold on.
Where'd it go?
I don't know. Very strange. Very strange. All right.
That was short.
We're not done yet.
We're not done. We're back.
It's the YouTube only VIP extension
there you go.
of the Paranormal Portal. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, here coming at you live. For more of this mayhem, you guys can't leave yet.
No, stay.
Stick around.
Stay. There's still 21 of you watching. We still.
Whatever.
There you go. Yeah,
Stick
Renee's
around.
saying, "See you later." Nope. Stick around, buddy. We got a few minutes left.
Oh, how quick they leave.
Oh, I know.
How quick they head for the door.
Half Q's like, "See y'all."
It's not like you got to get home quick before traffic.
Yeah, exactly. Not like me. Anyhow. Not over
yet.
more greatness. Yes, Taz, I love the way you think.
You're not done with us yet.
So did you have something you wanted to read, or?
It is real. Of course, lady, it's real. Lady's like, is this real?
Wait. I vaped way too much.
No, it is real. We're going to talk to you a little bit more because we loves you bunches. But Don, turn on the air.
Turn on.
You're gonna have some background noise, ladies and gentlemen. But
And you're
we're
just gonna have to rough it.
We're baking like a couple of taters up in here.
Yeah, bacon and taters sounds good to me.
Yeah, I bet it does. I just need some kind of relief. This is hot.
Oh gosh.
But we love you guys, and we just couldn't be done yet. So.
Excellent. Did you have one, or did you want me to go ahead?
Go ahead. I mean, I got more, but they're longer.
Oh, sure.
So why don't you read a couple of your shorters?
Yeah, a couple shorter ones. Sure. Let's see here. Another one of the texted ones. Oh, this one sounds good. Let me leave a message. During the late 1990s, a woman named Betty started working in a new job. A few days into her new job, her coworker left her to answer the phones while they went out to lunch. While they were out there, Mary absentmindedly answered one of her coworkers' phones. A man on the phone asked for someone unfamiliar, then corrected himself and asked for Mary, one of Betty's colleagues. Betty explained that Mary was out, and the man said, "Could you tell her this is her brother? I really miss her at the family gathering, and I wished she had gone." When Mary returned, Betty gave her the message. Mary turned white and fled, crying, out of the room. A coworker then explained that Mary's brother had died in a car accident 5 years ago, and that recently she had missed her family reunion. The coworker also said that the unfamiliar name the man used was his nickname for his sister. There you go.
Ooh,
so a
very
little
cool.
extra confirmation that it was him from beyond.
From beyond.
Wow. You know, I'd still get shivers and my hackles would raise, and I'd just.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's beautiful, but it's creepy. It is a little weird.
Yeah, definitely.
A little
that.
weird.
Ooh, this one's got a picture of Colin Farrell from Phone Booth. Is that what it was called? The movie Phone Booth.
Oh.
So this is interesting. This was Where Was He Calling From? David lived a troubled life. He suffered from depression and suicidal idealism, and to make matters even worse, he had a drug problem as well. Finally, when life became too difficult to bear, Dave committed suicide by shooting himself.
Oh, horrible.
But a few weeks after his death, his widow, Jessica, found a strange voicemail on her phone with no record of a missed call.
Oof.
The voicemail went on for several minutes with heavy static, but underneath, a terrified voice that sounded distinctly like Dave shouted Jessica's name over and over again. See, I just got chills. A few days later, the voicemail mysteriously deleted itself. A few weeks later, Dave's best friend received a similar voicemail, only this time the voice was shouting his name instead, and also under very heavy static. His phone showed that the call had come from Dave's phone, which is impossible, as his family had terminated his phone service within days of his death.
Oh, no. Wow.
Yeah, that's like, no, thanks. Shouting her name over and over again.
Jeez.
Oh, gosh.
That's got to be horrid. That's not really a positive one, though. That's kind of creepy.
Creepy. Did I say it was going to be positive?
I guess in response to your question earlier, you're like, well, would you think it was cool or creepy? And I guess it would totally depend on the context, first and foremost, because, if it's like that, that's just creepy.
Yeah,
if it's a positive, beautiful thing, then yeah, I think it was weird but cool.
All right. This one is 6. Be careful.
Ooh.
Even celebrities have reported receiving phone calls from beyond the grave. Best-selling author Dean Koontz, go figure, is one of them.
Oh, cool.
A few years ago, Koontz said he had been sitting in his office when his phone rang, showing an unknown number. He answered the phone, and a woman's voice on the other end said, "Be careful." She repeated this message several times before the call cut out. As Koontz put down the phone, he realized that the voice sounded eerily like his mother, who had died several years before. I've actually read this one before. The following day, Koontz was visiting his father at a psychiatric hospital where he'd been being treated for mental illness. His father had somehow managed to get a knife and lunged to attack his son with it. Koontz tried to wrestle the knife away from his father. The police were called, but when they arrived, they misinterpreted the altercation, thinking that Koontz was the attacker. They shouted down to drop the knife, and Koontz suddenly realized that if he didn't comply, the cops were going to shoot him. He believes the warning phone call the day before was from his mother.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember reading that one at another time. So
yeah, that does sound familiar now that you say that, but it was quite a while ago. It was
it's
quite a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting. So I got another one here.
Oh, go for it. Yeah,
Trying to hurt or protect me. I thought this was like was there a part 2 with this one?
Yeah, well, no, trying to part 2.
Okay.
Okay, well, maybe not.
Well, let's see. Okay. It says, everything started when I was a teenager. They were small occurrences. I didn't pay much attention to it at the time. At random moments, my heart would start pounding. I would feel dizzy and get a metallic taste in my mouth.
Oh.
After about a minute, it would stop and I'd feel normal again. After I graduated high school, everything stopped. I moved out of the city into a small town. Everything was fine for about 2 years before things started picking up again. I would start to feel sick again, not as often as before, but it happens from time to time. I thought that was going to be the extent, so I ignored it. After a few weeks ago, everything changed drastically. I was lying in bed around 3 in the morning trying to go to sleep when I felt a small amount of pressure on my chest. Not enough to hurt me, but I could definitely tell something was there. My arms and legs started to tingle and it got harder to move. It felt like my body weighed 1,000 pounds, and then I started convulsing. After about 2 minutes, the convulsing stopped, and I was able to fall asleep.
Wow.
Well, that's over. Wow.
I'm dead.
Now that's a determined sleeper.
No doubt.
Every night since then, I felt something out of the ordinary. My body would feel cold. Keep in mind I had a heater on at the time, and I could actually feel hands running down to from my ankles all the way up to my stomach. This wasn't just tingling. I could actually feel fingers grabbing me. Sometimes my hair feels like it's being messed with. Until now, I thought this was something that was just going to happen at night. I've been feeling tingling when I go into the kitchen or sit on the couch to watch TV. Even right now, while I'm typing this, I can feel my pants being tugged on and my shoulders are being rubbed. Wow, that's a good spirit. I want that one.
Yeah, those are some good spirits, all right.
Yeah. So I'm trying my best not to move a whole lot.
It's taking advantage of the situation.
Where is this going? Is this the brown chicken brown cow coming up? All right. So far, I've been convincing myself that it's just my pants or my hoodie moving on my skin, making it feel like someone's touching me. What happened last night has convinced me fully that this isn't my imagination. Something is really here with me. I was laying in bed with a small lamp on when I saw something block out the light and move across the room toward me. My upper body was freezing, and I could feel something start to massage my neck. It didn't hurt me or even try anything like that. There have been no scratches or bruises on my body. I don't think whatever this is wants to hurt me. I've never felt threatened by it, except for the night when the convulsions happened. I think it has actually attached itself to me, or is trying to protect me from something. To be honest, I actually enjoy the company. Is that bad? I'm with it. Go with it.
Yeah, follow through.
Ride that train, honk honk.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. That's an odd one.
We've had ghostly lovers. We've talked about ghostly lovers before. Not like that, but I mean,
right.
but I mean,
there's some woman right now that married a 300-year-old pirate. She went through the wedding ceremony and everything to marry the ghost of a pirate. And
God,
yeah,
seriously?
I mean, I've seen it a few times. It's just weird.
I married a ghost of a pirate.
Yeah, a pirate ghost or whatever. Yeah. Strange. Do I think that's terrible? No, I'd love a ghost massaging me. I think that'd be awesome to have, that kind of attention.
Would you have to tell the wife?
Yeah, I don't, Honey, just to let you know. No, I don't know. I don't know how that qualifies. I'm not sure. If it's just a neck rub, I think that's just a nice gesture. I don't think that crosses any lines other than the fact that, it's a ghost doing it, which is, of course, unusual. But, yeah, if you're going to have a haunting, that's a good haunting to have.
Oh, my God.
So you found it?
Woman marries 300-year-old ghost of pirate.
See, he told you.
Oh, no, this is horrible. Can I read this?
By all means.
All right. So this is, oh, come on. My computer's a little slow. Oh, my goodness. Well, I've got 20,000. Mom of 5 marries 300-year-old pirate ghost. Yes, really. There are loving spirits out there. I usually call them moonshine. All right, let's see here. A woman who says she kept getting the cold shoulder from men in the living world has turned to the dead to find her soulmate. Amanda Teague, a 45-year-old Jack Sparrow impersonator from Northern Ireland, says she was visited by a 300-year-old ghost of a Haitian man while lying in bed in 2014. Teague says she communicated with the ghost through mediumship and soon learned he was Jack, an 18th century pirate who had been left at the altar once before and was ultimately executed for thievery. She interacted with this entity over the course of several months. Teague claims she began to develop feelings for it. This was about 6 months of communication, so I finally accepted it. Obviously, we had spent a lot of time together. Teague, the mother of 5, who was previously married for 6 years, tells People in the magazine, I was horrified to discover I had romantic feelings for him, having never heard of that before. While Teague says she's communicated with spirits before, this experience was different, you think. All right, let's see here. It's almost like falling for someone forbidden, like a friend's husband, Teague says. I tried to ignore it, but it didn't go away. Wow. Soon, Teague incorporated Jack into her everyday life and would often watch television or go on long drives with him.
I imagine she's doing the driving.
I hope so. It's not exactly a Jesus take the wheel kind of situation. As her feelings grew deeper, Teague claimed that she felt a connection to the spirit that was unlike anything she had felt in the physical world. And though she had never seen Jack, she likes to imagine that he resembles Bob Marley.
Of course. Of course.
Eventually, Teague says the two even started having relations.
Oh, dear.
But she wanted more, of course.
Where's the booty?
Yeah, where's your money? Where'd you bury it?
She married me for my booty.
certainly not his sunken chests.
Oh.
Growing up in Ireland in my era, you were taught that if a man took you to bed, you should wed him. I knew from my research that spiritual marriage was a thing, so it was more me that wanted to get married than him.
Typical guy.
He would have been happy just to go to bed with me.
Wow.
Yeah, typical guy. Sexual attractions to spirits, known as spectrophilia, have been part of many folklores, including those...
There's a title for that, huh?
Yeah, spectrophilia.
Wow.
Yeah, has been a part of many folklores, including those in Arabic, Celtic, Greek, and Hindu cultures. So there you go.
You know, and at that point in your life when you thought you'd heard it all, thank you very much.
Now you have something else to hear.
Yeah, and that just goes to show you there's a lot more to hear out there.
There's a lot of love.
There's
in
no
the world.
end to the.
Yeah.
More power to her. I don't know.
Here's a picture of. Oh, those are bridesmaids. Okay. Whatever. Okay, each their own. I mean, they actually made a movie kind of like this, but that was a long time ago, called Ghost. But that was actually somebody not 300 years old. All right, I can't read the rest of that story. It's beyond me.
It's gone all the way off the deep end. But
Yeah.
I've had a few strange things happen without explanation, and I think it might be spirits trying to communicate with me. The first was when I was about 11 years old. It was a few days after Christmas, and since there was no school, I often stayed up late watching TV in the living room. This specific night, I was playing a game on the computer, and I got up to get a drink from the kitchen, which wasn't too far because my family lived in an apartment at the time. When I was walking to the desk, I heard movement, and the next thing I knew, a toy car that my brother had got for Christmas drove in a circle around me and through my legs. It was a battery-operated remote control race car. However, there were no batteries in it because my parents had purchased the wrong kind. I ran to my room terrified, and the next morning I told my parents what had happened, and they agreed it was very strange, but didn't say much after that. The next day, my dad learned that his cousin had passed away after a long battle with cancer the previous night. Another time was a few years later. We had moved into a house. It was a weekend night, and I was up again on my computer, and my mom was about to head upstairs, and suddenly there was a knock on the front door. Don't answer it. 3 clear knocks. My mother and I exchanged looks, and we both heard the knocking. My mom went to the front door, and I followed behind her, and there's a long window beside the door, so we looked out but didn't see anyone. My mom opened the door, and outside, and looked outside but couldn't see anyone around. It was winter, and the front steps were covered in snow. I barely noticed. There were no footprints. I told my mom. A few days later, another relative died.
Oh.
Now, there have been many times when people died without warning, but those times it did were very coincidental. Is this a spirit's way of saying goodbye? Perhaps. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's one of those things that nobody can answer that kind of stuff for you. What did it mean to you? Maybe it was people saying goodbye. I don't know. But cool story all the same. But
knock 3 times.
yeah, if you get a knock on the door and you look out and nobody's there, yeah, don't open.
I saw no pipes.
Just leave it shut.
If the answer is no.
I didn't give us overtime for that.
Oh, sorry. Wow. Yeah, knocking. Well, just like you said the other night, if you look out the people, if you hear some knocking and you look out the people, you're not supposed to open that door.
That's why the peephole's there, ladies and gentlemen, or the window, or whatever way you can see out there. And if nobody's there, and just keep it closed.
Yeah, if they're below that peep line level, you definitely don't want to open it anyhow because it's probably a BEK.
Okay, this person is writing in response. Very interesting. Well, thumping at the front door, especially if there was snow.
That's right on your elbow.
What is it?
It's a beetle or something.
Oh, that's another beetle. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I felt something. It's been flying around. Okay, there you are. All right, got inside.
Ruthie says beetles on you are good things. Yeah, did you see him fly away?
He did. He just flew away.
Like,
Thanks,
I'm
Ruth.
out of here, buddy.
Is that my neck or what the hell's going on? Okay. Yeah. It just feels creepy as all. I didn't think it was paranormal. I just thought it was creepy. I didn't know what landed on me, but I knew something did. So. And, call me old-fashioned, but I just kind of think that's creepy. Okay. Very interesting. Thumping at the front door, especially if there's snow outside, could have just been icicles or snow from the roof falling down loudly, or a small animal thumping against the door.
I don't think so.
Or even just the sound of materials contracting and resetting in colder temperatures. Boy, this person's digging way into the denial well. But I can't think of any non-paranormal explanation for the toy car other than someone buying the appropriate batteries and pranking you. But if you personally think that it wasn't likely, I won't question you. Well, you already did. It seems pretty normal for certain people to hear goodbyes from loved ones. I may not be all the time. It may not be all the time. I sometimes wonder if a person has to believe in ghosts in order to become one so they can pass on messages before moving on. In any case, I cannot say with absolute certainty since I've not experienced it, but I do believe that it's possible your loved one said goodbye. It's certainly a nice thought, and I can't imagine any other paranormal explanation. Well, thank you, Commander Logic. I understand the person is just contributing, but it's like, wow, a small animal just decided to come thump your door.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I've lived a long time and haven't had that happen ever.
Could you imagine? You open the door and there's a little squirrel there.
Yeah.
Excuse me, can you turn down the music?
Excuse me. Have you heard the good news about Jesus? It's Holy Squirrel. Oh, my goodness. I'm not bashing religion. Honest to God, I'm not. But everybody knows one of those door knocks you never want to experience is the one where, they're trying to convince you of their religion. And I love all religions.
Do you have a few minutes to speak about our Savior, Cthulhu?
Cthulhu. The squid god. Yeah.
Our Lord and Savior, Cthulhu.
Well, it's like I love that people are in love with their religion that much, that they have that much passion that they want to share the news. I think that's a beautiful thing. But nobody likes that knock on the door. Yeah. And, there's never a good time for somebody to knock on the door and bring, their religion into you. Now, people that are looking for religion will look for it themselves.
Right. But I don't need it crammed down my throat, just like those J-dubs that came to my door 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You go ahead and give that to someone else. I'm fine, thanks. Clack.
Whoa. I never treat them poorly. I just say, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate what you're doing, but yeah, I'm not interested. Or sometimes I'll just grab the stuff and say, okay, thanks.
I live out in the hinterlands for a reason.
The hinterlands. It is kind of a desolate
especially apparently
place.
It's haunted too. So.
Right. Well, I think this whole area is haunted, to be honest with you.
This whole area is
There's a lot of
spirit
active in this area.
I can imagine.
We just got a message on YouTube actually from a guy that said, "Where do you guys live?" And then I told him we're in Sandpoint. He said, "Oh, well, you described it as kind of being enchanted. I really want to check it out." It's like, it is really beautiful here. It is really an enchanting place. There's no question.
Absolutely.
It is probably one of the most picturesque and beautiful natural locations in the lower 48. And I would recommend people come see it. It's lovely. But I do think there's an odd energy to this area as well. But not a bad energy, just a feral energy, as I explained it last night. It's just hard to explain. It's just like this raw...
Feral raw. I was going to say raw.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. It's just raw and just primal. It's just a strong, strong energy. But anyway, that brings us to the 20 minutes after mark.
Wow, you know what? Yeah.
We gave you an extra 20 minutes, guys, because we love you that much.
You know, and MCAT, the other day when we had all those problems, MCAT's like, well, can we get some extra time? And I said, you know, MCAT, maybe we could do that some other time. Here you go. Payback.
There you go.
There you go.
We do like doing these longer times. I do. I love talking to you guys longer. I love doing the show, of course, and as does Don. And so staying behind the microphone is never a problem. The problem is that it's at the end of a very long day usually.
That's true.
And, we're only human, so we have to draw the line somewhere. But every once in a while, we like to come and let you guys know how much we love you and give you these special, extra time for the portal. And it's good for the soul.
It is good for the soul. It is.
That's what she said. What? Lady.
Oh, boy.
Love you, lady. Hope everything's good. Renee, Taz, Ken, still in here.
Ruthie C.
Ruthie
Ann C. Yeah.
Ruthie, she wrote one of the emails last night.
Yeah, she sent us one of them. MCAT's there. Yep, Taz.
And I'm looking forward to the rest of your stories, Ruthie.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna hold you to it.
Challenges out to you guys. Absolutely. MCAT, you too.
Yeah, any of you guys that have paranormal experiences, I don't care if it's just something that you think is rather less than remarkable.
Right.
If it's paranormal, I want to hear about it.
Yep.
I want to put together a whole catalog of listener stories. To me, that is just the best.
Yep,
so.
Absolutely. I bet you Pixie fell asleep again.
Oh, poor girl.
She's a tired girl.
She's a tough worker. She works hard, and
she works hard for her money. Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
I got a song for everything. I just don't sing them all. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
All right. So
you ever see that movie Rain Man, where he just kind of just throws things randomly in there, like a whoppers on a chicks?
It's time for Jeopardy.
It's like doing a show with you, Don. It's like I just couldn't say anything. You'd be like,
somebody. Oh, there's pancaking. Somebody said something quite a while ago about. Lady Death says that was in my head too. Somebody said something about taking and taking things Don said and making a little website out of it. Shit Don says.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Josie, thank you so much. It's always wonderful to see you guys. Half Q, thanks a bunch. You guys are awesome, pancaking, and spread the word. Let other people know about the portal. We'll be definitely excited to do more of the portal. We'll do more as the crowd goes. As it grows and we can dedicate more time to it, we will be happy to bring you more episodes per week. But right now, we got to make a living on top of this. So
absolutely.
So anyway, guys, love you bunches. Be good, be kind, be nice, and we'll see you on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. for our YouTube-only live stream.
The Hump Day Cure.
Hump Day's Eve. We'll see you then. So love y'all. Be good, be kind, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Bye-bye.